Lots of stories brewing this hour, but first we start with Pakistan's Prime Minister just hours before he's set to make his announcement. Pakistan's Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif at the UN General Assembly in New York.
That's right. Now India is up the ante. The Indian Foreign Secretary S. Jaishankar has now summoned the Pakistani High Commissioner Abdul Basit. India has handed over a list of evidence regarding the Uri terror attack and involvement of Pakistan. Meanwhile, External Affairs Ministry spokesperson has called upon Pakistan to live up to its public commitment of not allowing terror machinery to thrive in Pakistan.
The latest terrorist attack in Uri only underlines that the infrastructure of terrorism in Pakistan remains active. We demand that Pakistan live up to its public commitment to refrain from supporting and sponsoring terrorism against India. In the recent incidents, we have recovered a number of items that include A. GPS from the bodies of terrorists with coordinates that indicate the point and time of infiltration across the LOC and the subsequent route to the terror attack site. B. Grenades with Pakistani markings. C. Communication matrix sheets. D. Communication equipment. And E. Other stores made in Pakistan, including food, medicines and clothes. If the government of Pakistan wishes to investigate these cross-border attacks, India is ready to provide fingerprints and DNA samples of terrorists killed in the Uri and Poonch incidents.
All right, Ashton, just a few hours to go now, about 9:30 to 10 Indian time. The Pakistani Prime Minister will be addressing the UN General Assembly. All eyes will be on him.
Absolutely. You know, the global community is also going to take a look to see what Pakistan will say and what India's response will be. We also know that Pakistan's Prime Minister has dodged the question, so now we'll have to wait and watch. Will he skirt it or will he hit on the issue of the violence and the terrorism straight on?
That's right. In fact, reports now coming in that just before his address, Pakistan's Prime Minister has consulted with his army Chief General Raheel Sharif.
Now, both of them spoke over the telephone, had a discussion. Official sources say the two talked on Tuesday night, discussed what's going on in Kashmir with all the prevailing tension with India after this weekend's deadly terror attack at that camp in Uri. Now, it is expected that Sharif will raise the issue. Again, we are not sure at this point to what extent they'll get into the nitty-gritty details.
Now, even as tensions ramp up between the two countries, that is India and Pakistan, after the Uri attack, a US lawmaker has moved a bill in the Congress to designate Pakistan a state sponsor of terrorism.
Yeah, Giles Gibson picks up this story and explains how this could affect Pakistan.
Days after the Uri attack, reaction is spreading across the world. And it's gone as far as the US Congress, as Republican Representative Ted Poe introduces the Pakistan State Sponsor of Terrorism Act. In a statement, Poe said his bill would force US President Barack Obama to issue a report on Pakistan's links to terror within 90 days of its passage. Secretary of State John Kerry would then have to follow up with a concrete decision on whether the US considers Pakistan a state sponsor of terrorism. But this series of events would only be triggered if the bill passes through Congress. That's far from certain, with time running out for US lawmakers. And the Hindustan Times foreign editor, Pramit Pal Chaudhuri, told WION the bill is unworkable for the US.
Designating Pakistan as a state sponsor of terrorism would mean America would have to end almost all of its cooperation, military or otherwise, with Pakistan, and would effectively have to impose some sanctions on Pakistan, which they're not prepared to do.
In the immediate aftermath of the attack, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi tweeted that the perpetrators wouldn't go unpunished. And with Pakistan's Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif taking the Kashmir issue to the United Nations, the shockwaves from the Uri attack continue to spread globally. Giles Gibson, WION, New Delhi.
Well, the defense minister spoke a while back on the Uri terror attack, admitting that there was a security lapse, trying to figure out what exactly went wrong. Also saying that as a country, India needs to do more and ensure that this is just not repeated again and again.
That's right. That's what's happening in India. Security situation being reviewed as well. The defense minister of India speaking a while back on the terror attack.
When something goes wrong, while you try to correct it, you should also ensure that it does not happen again. And there are management principle to ensure that this happens. I think we will definitely find out what went wrong. Also take steps to ensure that it doesn't go wrong again.
And getting you the latest from the ground in Jammu and Kashmir, the search for the suspected terrorists continued on Wednesday in the garrison town of Uri in the state, a day after security forces foiled 2 infiltration bids.
Yeah, they killed 10 militants in that gunfight, including 1 Indian Army soldier was also killed in that operation. The Indian Army fought 2 groups of suspected militants trying to cross the line of control with Pakistan in Kashmir on Tuesday. The flare-up in violence comes after India blames Pakistan for this weekend's attack at that brigade headquarters in Uri.
That's right. In fact, a security blanket continues to envelop Srinagar city in Jammu and Kashmir. The curfew is still in force in some parts of the city. Normal life remains affected. We get you a ground report.
For over 70 days now, there's been unrest in the valley of Jammu and Kashmir. The separatists have called a strike, one that they are just not calling off. My colleague Anis, you were there in Uri. Indian soldiers have been killed by terrorists. Anis was there covering it. On your way back, the stone pelters threw stones. You've got a fractured arm now. Tell me, you've been covering the story very closely. How much worse are these protests if you compare them to 2008 or 2010?
No, the protests that happened in 2016 were much worse than what happened in 2008 and 2010. The intensity has been higher and there have been more killings this year as compared to over a specific period of time as what happened in 2008 and 2010.
And you know, as I look around, everything is shut, every shop is shut. Only some places in the morning, maybe some vegetable vendors and the pharmacies are open. So how are people surviving for over 70 days if there's no business?
See, primarily what happens is there is a protest program given by separatists, and what they do is they keep a specific period of time for people to buy all these essentials. For example, if in the past week there was a time frame given by the separatists between 6 p.m. to 10.
Right, but what about business? What about, you know, I mean, sure you can buy vegetables and buy pharmacy, but what about businessmen?
The business
shops are shut?
of course, the business has been hit. There has been losses to the telecom industry only for over 300 crores in
Right.
past 3 months. But that's how it is. The people are very angry this time.
The people are very angry this time. And what about the fact that the soldiers in Uri have been killed? Is there any sympathy for that here amongst?
Of course, it has been condemned widely. Even the separatist leaders have condemned it. The violence in any form is condemned everywhere.
Okay, so how do you see the situation moving forward? I mean, the PDP government, has any assurance come from them?
As of now, what people have been saying is that the government has not been able to address the ongoing situation. Even when Home Minister Rajnath Singh visited Kashmir twice in 1 month, but even that has not helped. What people have been demanding is talks between India, Pakistan and separatists, but there has been no initiative taken by the central government.
No, but you know, the central government says no, terror and talks won't go together, and then Pakistan, the Indian government is saying is behind the Uri attack, and they're also fueling unrest in the valley. So in that sense, it's a bit of a chicken and egg situation.
Yeah.
Won't you say? But
Yeah,
the point
it
is,
is,
there
it
is
is.
terror also that is emanating from Pakistan, creating unrest in India.
But Kashmiris, the protesters don't consider themselves as a part of the terror link. They call these protests non-violent. So they have been, all the civilian killings that had happened in the past 3 months, they were not involved in any terrorist activity. So in that sense,
But
there is also
Bani,
anger.
I mean, there's enough evidence also to link some, people.
Yeah, in that sense, but people, he was seen as a youth icon. People have been given
So
support
it's
to him.
different, right? So he's seen, and then there is evidence that he was a terrorist. That's what the security agency is saying. You say, here he was a youth icon.
Yeah.
And in that sense, there is that gap in perception. But what would you call a man or a boy who has a gun and kills people with it?
Yeah, he is seen, whatever he is seen, he would be called by anybody. There is a social consensus on that. But at the same time, we also have to understand that people are demanding at least some sort of relaxation, some sort of redressal to the ongoing crisis in Kashmir. And the separatists and the government has to take some initiatives in order to chalk out some plan to address the
So
ongoing
the big question really at this moment is, what is the plan of both the central government and the government of the state of Jammu and Kashmir? What is Mehbooba Mufti planning to do? This is Anshul Vora with Anis in Srinagar, Jammu and Kashmir, with camera person Mr. Saini for WION.
That was Anshul reporter reporting for us from Kashmir. Now, sending out a strong message to Pakistan, Afghanistan has also hinted that they may boycott the upcoming SAARC meet.
That's going to be a big blow for Pakistan because the summit is going to be held in Islamabad this November. Afghanistan's President Ashraf Ghani has called on the Indian Prime Minister and condemned the cross-border attack in Uri on Tuesday. In fact, Afghanistan's envoy Shahida Mohammad Abdali also said that Pakistan should be singled out for spoiling regional peace and stability.